All right. As usual, I have a ton of mixing to catch up on, but with all this Helix Stadium hype, there's been a lot of stuff, and man, I have a lot to say on it. I am a big Helix fan. I don't know. I was sure I was getting the Stadium, but I am not sure that I actually want it right now, sadly. I'm sure I'll end up with one, but really working on my computer-based pedal board right now for a product that we're working on. But anyway, Ben Vesco made a video called Helix Stadium DAW Latency, and I want to take a look at it. I think there's a lot of stuff people don't understand about actual latency. The reported numbers aren't. I think even if you're using an RME, the reported numbers aren't actually what you might think they are. Let's just see what he is. And if you don't know who Ben Vesco is, he makes this website. If you are a Helix owner, he tells you how much DSP does each process eat, you know, like how much the amps eat, how much the effects eat and stuff. So you can kind of get an idea which things are less CPU or DSP intensive than others. He also makes Helix preset packs and things like that if you're not a anti-preset Dunning-Kruger. And he's just a cool guy overall. It's funny because it doesn't seem like DSP amount is going to matter. It seems like the new Helix has restrictions on it that aren't tied to how much DSP it's eating. It's just arbitrary restrictions. I guess we won't really know anything until the Helix native app comes out, if that even happens. So I'm kind of really, I wish them a very successful launch and stuff, but I'm kind of disappointed and unhappy with the way that the Helix launch has been handled. There's a lot of apologetics out there that you guys know how I feel about apologetics. So anyways, let's get into this video that he's doing here.
Some people have been asking about latency for recording with this thing.
Boy, he needs a Reaper user, so plus 1,000 on that. All right.
Let's explore that a bit. So I'm in my DAW Reaper, and you can see up in the bar here, toolbar here, we're at 48K, 24-bit, 8 channels in, 8 channels out, 512 samples. This is my default settings for when I am mixing. I don't want low latency. I want playback that guarantees no dropouts. Here, I have 13 milliseconds input latency and 13 milliseconds output latency. And even for 90% of my tracking, this is still the setting that I use because I don't really use virtual instruments. I record everything analog in a sense. So if I'm playing my guitar...
Just so you know, let me just do... let me change channels here. Sorry. Let me switch real quick. I definitely got to type as the correct person here.
Some people have been here. We're at 48K.
Sorry.
24.
Just so you know, that 13 milliseconds in, 13 milliseconds out is not the actual round trip latency. A long time ago, there were Pod XT drivers that were okay. I think they're Vesicon drivers. I'm almost 1,000% sure because they act just like them, like every other USB driver out there. But the reported latency is not the round trip latency. Let me do something I have here hosted at my music school website, round trip latency roundup. Let me pull this up for you. So if you just type in round trip latency roundup, you'll probably get this. Let's see if I have a line 6. Okay, so here's the Firehawks. So here is, see, he's at 512 right there, right? And it's a claimed 13 milliseconds in, 13 milliseconds out. On the XT Live, that was actually 44 milliseconds round trip latency. All right. It's not 26 like it says. On the Firehawk, it's 65. It's way worse. Look at these numbers here. So this is, I think this is 128 right here. Let me see. Yeah, 128. So at 128 samples on the Firehawk, you were getting 24 milliseconds. Let's compare this with RME, right? You're not even at 10 milliseconds at that setting, you know. Reported latency is a whole different thing than the actual measured round trip latency. And it's important to keep that in mind. So I was just going to say that with that caveat. All right.
4-bit, 8 back that for 90% of my tracking, this is still the setting that I use because I don't really use virtual instruments. I record everything analog in a sense. So if I'm playing my guitar, I'm playing through my Helix, I'm getting my playback through my Helix's modeling, like that. So all the sound is created from my physical hardware units. Therefore, the latency when recording is irrelevant most of the time. However, every once in a while, I want to play a little bit of a keyboard part on my MIDI controller, or my drummer uses MIDI drums, so we need to get that going. And when he's using MIDI drums, we're recording through TuneTrack, Easy Drummer, something like that. So we need to have lower latency for tracking. So what we do there, let's explore that. So in here, we can go into my audio device settings. Now I have the Helix Stadium XL is selected up here. You can see the sample rate is at 48K, and this is where our block size is at 512. Why do I have the 48K, 24-bit kind of thing? If we look at my system settings for the Helix, this is the audio device's system settings preferences of Mac. On the hardware is 48K and 24-bit. I just keep it at that. That's the native format of the Helix, and in this case, the Helix Stadium XL. And that's the format that is my favorite format. If I had the ability to choose many different internal formats, this is still the format that I would pick. It means that whatever digitally is happening inside my Stadium is going to be passed through to my DAW, to Reaper, with 0 conversions. So it's 48K, 24-bit inside the Stadium. It remains 48K, 24-bit inside.
I think on the Helix, you might have an option to do this at 96K. It might half your latency. Theoretically, the doubling the sample rate potentially can half your latency, but there's reasons why that won't happen in a real driver. But it could be less.
Inside Reaper. We saw at 512, we're at 13 in, 13 out. For a drummer to be tracking drums through a plugin like Easy Drummer or Superior Drummer or something like that, 13 in, 13 out, that means 26 milliseconds of latency to the drummer. That's never going to cut it. So let's see what we have at some other settings. We go to a block size of 32 samples. Now we've got about 4 milliseconds in, about 3.5 milliseconds out. Add these up, we have a total of 7.5 milliseconds round trip latency.
But
most people can't detect anything less than 10.
It's possible, the Mac drivers, and I know you guys keep saying there's no such thing as drivers on Mac. It's not true. If you're going to try and tell me that a Behringer USB interface has the same round trip latency as an RME, you're out of your mind. It's not how this works. With the new Windows ARM stuff, the native ASIO driver may change things, but just because you're on a Mac, it doesn't make the interface drivers magically better. And there are drivers. There are drivers. You may not install them, but the driver, there's drivers. It does the same function. Sorry.
If you say you can, that's fine. I don't want to argue with anybody. I'm just showing you the numbers. You can decide if these numbers are good enough for you or not. Now, it is possible. We can bump this down even to 16 samples, see what that's like. Now we're at 3.5, 3.3. So we were at 7.5 milliseconds for 32 samples, and we're now at 6.8 milliseconds round trip latency
but you're
for
not
16 samples.
you're probably at 20 something.
It's good for you to see what I am working with here, so you can get a sense of how this might compare for you. So you can see here I'm using a computer from 2017. It's a 27-inch iMac, 5K screen, Retina quality processors, a 4.2 gigahertz quad-core Intel i7, and it's got 32 gigs of RAM. The graphics are kind of irrelevant. Hard drive, all that stuff doesn't really matter. But this is what my computer is. So if you have a faster CPU, better CPU, you have more RAM, less RAM, all that stuff is going to play into what kind of latency settings or how fast or how low you can get these things set to. It's really determined by that. What I find is even at 32 samples of latency, that the 7.5 milliseconds.
And that's another thing. Sorry. The faster drivers tend to be a lot more stable at the same latency level. They tend to eat less CPU, less system resources, and they're generally what we call in the DAW builders world and plugin developers world, it's less munchy at the same. You could hit Control Alt Delete, look at your task manager, your performance meters, and you'll notice that running an RME USB driver at 64 samples is way less munchy than running a Vesicon driver at 64 samples. And it's a lot less likely to crash your system. The better drivers aren't just faster, they're better kind of in every way. And right now, sadly with USB, it seems like there's only two games. I don't know that there's a third player in there. I think there might be, but there's RME and there's Vesicon. I almost sure Line 6 is using Vesicon drivers. Let me see. And I'm saying Vesicon because that's what that's what DawBench, that's how they pronounce it. So I think. Okay, so it's saying that Line 6 doesn't. So this is just AI. Okay, so I typed in the Gear forum. Let's see, before I got banned from there. Those guys are just idiots. I said, I'm betting the Line 6 used to run the Vesicon drivers like everyone else. The newer ones from the Firehawk on, I think, were these kind of awful, slow, high round trip latency drivers. Yeah. Sasha Frank gets this wrong. Vesicon derived drivers are usually in the 7 to 9 milliseconds range. No, they're not. That's just the reported latency. Let's see. So I don't know. There's a Google AI claim that they're not using that they're using their own proprietary drivers. I don't see that. I don't see that. Says they're proprietary, but I am betting these are Vesicon. And if not, I mean, honestly, the Helix and the Firehawk drivers perform worse than most Vesicon drivers. So maybe they did make their own and they made them really badly. I don't know.
Round trip, it's responsive, but it does create a few dropouts. My age of my computer, the speed of my computer, stuff like that. It can't quite do the live input without having dropouts.
I'd be interested to see if the Mac drivers are really... I know, I said drivers again. I'll die on that hill. I'll be interested to see if the Mac round-trip latency performance is any different than Windows. Traditionally, ASIO on Windows is always faster than the fastest Mac driver. Said driver again. Sorry. Round-trip latency performance on Windows is always better than round-trip latency performance on Mac at that same speed across all the interfaces. So take that up with whoever you will.
So what we've actually
Not by
settled on
much.
as a process is 64 samples of latency, or 64 samples for the block size, and that creates the 4.5 in, 4.3 out. So ultimately,
Which isn't actually that. That's just the reported latency.
the round trip latency is now 8.8 milliseconds.
No, it's
so
not.
it's under 10 milliseconds. It's under 9 milliseconds, just barely under 9 milliseconds. It's only It's only 1.5 milliseconds slower than the 32 samples of block size, and I don't think anyone's going to hear 1.5 milliseconds of latency difference. I just want to remind you all that if you just round off the speed of sound, sound travels at about 1 foot takes 1 milliseconds. So having an extra millisecond of latency is like taking a baby step further away from your amplifier or sound step. If you go 1 foot farther away from your speakers, you have added 1 milliseconds of latency.
See, and this is true, and it's important to say, but round trip latency is. Let's go over this. I know we see this a lot, so let's just start from the beginning. I think PreSonus had something pretty good. Let me see if I can find it. They had a little picture. Okay, here it is. So this is from PreSonus, and we're going to see how this works. Okay, so let's say you got your input in. First, you have your converter latency. Okay, that's it could be a lot. Yeah, it's generally going to be under 2 milliseconds today, but there's your first little bit of latency. Your analog to digital converter latency. That there's going to be some non-zero number there, but it could be pretty low. Transport input buffer may or may not have this. We call it a safety buffer, but generally the bigger one's on the output. The ASIO core audio input buffer, the ASIO core audio output buffer, transport output buffer, and then the digital to analog converter latency. These two right here, actually these four, you could smash them into each other. Sometimes you'll see it referred to as safety buffers, or Jim Roseberry often calls them hidden safety buffers. Sometimes you can turn them off. Sometimes there's a slider or whatever. But this is what you're looking at. All these different things to add up the latency. Right here, this green thing is what's shown in Reaper's up here. 5.3, 6.4, you know, like that's for, so that's actually a safety buffer right there. That notice that the 6.4 is bigger than the 5.3. RME is honest about their safety buffers. They'll tell you when they're there, and you might actually be able to turn them off. I'm not sure if you can turn it off on this particular. No, we can't turn it off on this driver, but that's why that output buffer is a little bit bigger than the input buffer. It's at 6.4 instead of 5.3 at 256. This is what you're seeing in Reaper. This whole thing is your round trip latency. You can't just go by here, add it up, and say that's my latency. If you're around back in the Dice 2 days with the Firewire interfaces, man, it was pain.
Right. When people talk about being able to sense different latencies, and we're talking about having 9 milliseconds of latency here,
but you're not.
That would be
that's
like
the problem.
standing 9 feet away or about 3 meters away from a drum set.
But with the actual round trip latency, it'd be like standing 30 feet away from the drum set. That's a different story.
If you're standing 3 meters away, or closer than 3 meters, or closer than 9 feet to a drum set.
Look, I'm not trying to nitpick with Ben Vesco, because he has done a huge service to the community. He's an awesome dude. I think I bought some of his presets. I love this guy, but got to understand how latency actually works here.
and you're not hearing unreasonable latency just in the real world, then 9 milliseconds of latency is totally fine for tracking purposes, because you're going to have the headphones on, they're going to be right on your ears. Yeah. And we found
now here, I'm actually at about 13 milliseconds latency at this 256 samples, and I'm okay with it. But I'm honest that is 13 milliseconds. It's not 9 milliseconds. It's 13. So we got like 11 plus 12. It's about 13 on this one.
That it's no problem at all. So I hope you've enjoyed this dive into the kinds of latencies you might be able to think about or expect with the Helix Stadium XL. I would say that the numbers I'm getting, they may vary by a few milliseconds depending on whether you're on Mac or Windows, depending on what kind of drivers you might be using. If you're on Mac, you don't need any drivers at all because it's a core audio device. But ultimately, even though the numbers will be this very similar or the same from computer to computer, with a faster computer or a faster machine, what you can do is use lower block sizes. So you may be able to get away with that 32 block size or the block size of...
Look, I don't mind if RME doesn't spend a lot of time and money making super duper drivers. I wouldn't mind if they're Vesicon drivers. I use those on my Focusrites and stuff like that, the little red USB things. They work. And, you know, like even when we do live audio with the Allen and Heath, as much as those consoles cost, they're using Vesicon drivers. But it's not, I doubt it's anywhere near as low as this guy's thinking.
You might even be able to try block size of 8. I've never even tried
a
block size of 8. But that's what you can see. You can see the differences are minor. So I hope you all dig this and have a great weekend.
You've got to do a round trip.
Don't forget to rock out with your Helix and actually have some fun.
Yes. I don't know why I can't post to the channel. I wonder if I've been blocked or banned. Let's see. I'm going to refresh this and see if I am banned or something. Maybe because I put a link in there. Yeah, look, it hid my stuff. Who's hiding stuff? Like, why? Do you seriously hide? Is it hidden because it's got a link? Like if I put a link on there? Yeah, whatever. So lame. I don't know if YouTube did that or if Ben did that. Ben, if you did that, that's lame. I'm just trying to help. If YouTube did that, yeah, that's just YouTube, man. It's a pain. All right. So anyway, it took my link away, but this is it. Round trip latency roundup. If you want to understand this stuff, this is older too. I mean, I've been doing this. This chart has been since I lived in Arizona. So this chart's probably from 2007 or 2008 when I first started this thing. So, yeah, there's some updating to do. And I do actually have updated some stuff, but, deal with that later. Thanks, Ben Vesco, for another video. Thanks, Ben Vesco, for your DSP chart. That's the ultimate. And now I'm going to actually get to some mixing here. I think. Let's see. What do we got here? I was working on the Nevermind recording, but let me see what I have. There's a new one. So yeah, I have one that's a month old, and now I got a new one. I should actually delete these, I think, but I'll do that later. And I should really delete this. This is from my birthday show. Already did everything from it. Amber and Hawaiian Soul, I just did that. I'm deleting this. It's gone. I'm not going to touch it again. Goodbye. Blues Night. Did I do this? 11/19/25. Let me see if I actually got that one done. No, because that's my drummer's band. I got to do that one. Janai, Living Dark. Okay, that's what I want to do. I want to get this Living Dark. Well, there's a Jabari video. Did I do this Jabari? Let me just check real quick. I don't think I did. I'm not super sure I want to do this. Not that I don't like them. I just already did a bunch of Jabari videos. Jabari 910, Jabari. It's a lot of work for. I don't know if I really want to do it. Let me see if I emailed myself a song to mix. Hold on. Bridges. Oh no, that was October. Yeah, I haven't done that. I don't know that I want to do it. Okay, let's do this Living Dark. This was some good stuff. This is like pop punk, whatever. I can't remember if it's the same drummer for both bands. It looks pretty similar. These guys are real cool. Didn't make any trouble. So let's take a look at this. And I'm going out to the jumps today. I think I missed either 1 or 2 weeks at the jumps, and I missed the day we had the inflatable out too. Yeah, I've been missing a lot of time at the jumps, so I need to get out there. So let's ditch the tracks that I'm definitely not using. No Tom 2. Okay, and I'm going to put in, I'm going to insert the mixing template. What did I call it? HB default mixing template. Okay. Put that in there. Now I want to put the video file in. So that's going to take a while to build the peaks for that video. I'm just going to start moving these tracks over. Yay. There's no keyboards, but there are 2 guitars. Bass. And here's the drums. Oops. Crash. There's only 2 toms, so I'm going to change that. Which is Tom 3, Tom 1, and then kick and snare. Okay. Clean this up some so I don't need Tom 2. I don't need the keys. I don't need 19 and 20. Don't need 23 and 24. And I don't need any of the original tracks. Okay. So to start out with, let me put my regular old mixing compressor in. I don't know that I really need this thing, but I always end up using it. This is Intuition compressor. I'm just running my SSL emulation. Okay. Still building the video peaks. That's no problem. Okay, so let's take a look at what we got. I'm just going to look at the peak meter down here. Show tracks that have receives. There we go. So I'm looking at this one, and I have the high pass filter off because I'm just looking at kick drum, which has some lows in it. for an excessively hard hit. So I'm getting about 9. Let's see how this one is. So I'm going to raise it by 2. It may need more than that. Oh, it's only 1. All right, awesome. Okay, so I'm going to give it 2.5 for now. Let's take a look at the snare. Okay, so it needs at least 3 dB. So that's missing. It's missing a lot of hits. I'm going to give it a little bit more. Not sure why that is. Let's see about the other drummer. Okay. Toms. Yeah, I'm going to give that 4. That seems right already. Okay, so for the cymbals, I'm going to turn on the high-pass filter to check these. Let's see, this should be hi-hat. More like a ride. It's always possible I got it on the wrong. I think that's right, though. So I'm getting minus 21. See the difference here? It's lost 3 decibels by the high-pass filter. That's why I use the high-pass filter, because I want to know what the cymbals have to say, not what the low end of the drums have to say. So it's minus 21. So I'm going up by 15. Well, it sounds crazy, but watch, it'll work. Or it should. See about the ride. So that might be crash and not ride. Sometimes the mics get moved right towards the end. Let me see. I think that's the crash. Okay, so I got to look for a ride if he ever hits one. Sometimes, you mic up cymbals and it's not necessarily true that they're going to actually ever hit them. Yeah, I'm still suspicious that that's the right crash. Yeah, that sounds like the hi-hat. Oh no, that's the hi-hat. Okay, so the hi-hat's for sure. These might not be right. This ride and crash. One is definitely a lot louder, but which one sounds more correct? Let me get these. I'm just going to level this as if that's what it is, and we'll figure it out. Okay, so 22. So I'm going up 16 here. And let me see what it says on this one. 25. So I'm going to go up 19. Then when I have them kind of the same, let's see which one actually sounds like the actual crash mic. Boy, that sounds like a ride. Man, it's hard to tell. Let me hear this real quick. This sounds like the ride. Uh-oh. Hold on. Let me get a, let's get the video synced up and see if we can't figure something out here. Ooh, that's... Okay, let's see if I can't figure out what exactly is going on here. Is that looks like a crash? Let me find that ride spot where I was. No, 1 second. Okay. Where was that? So I should have marked it, dummy. Yeah, there was a spot. Okay, that's a ride. All right, so let's figure out what. Okay, so right at the end of that, he hits the right crash. All right, let's figure out who this is. Why is that one the one that's going? I might have messed up these mics. It happens actually a lot. So let me just get a reading. Okay, so I'm going up 16 on here. Then we're gonna check this section and see who's actually the ride mic. Who's on first? Okay, so that's one I suspect is the ride. That sounds like a symbol. Ooh, that's crash 1, I think. Watch this. Yeah, that is crash 1. Oh, wait. I think he hits them both. Shoot. Hold on. Man, he hits both symbols at the same time every time. Look at this. Shoot, stop doing that, man. What's the point of recording in stereo? You're doing that. Fired. All right. Man, that sounds like the hi-hat. Ugh. We need him to hit the... Okay, no, that's the hi-hat. All right. I gotta find the spot where he hits the ride again, sorry. Okay, right here. Here we go. I'm gonna throw a marker on it this time so I don't mess up. Okay, so that time... So this appears to be I think that's crash 1. Okay. Sorry, that's crash 2. So that's going to go over here. Now the ride, what I think is the ride. That's the ride. So this one, sorry, 50%. Now this should be crash 1. Let me just double check that. Yep. Okay. All righty then. Let's check these levels again then. So I got to bring this up another 6, I think. Yeah, it's still not enough. You see crash 2. So bring this up by 1. Check. This is so weird. This looks like it's super loud. The snare on that is so much louder than the crash. See that? It's weird. Wait, is the compressor making a difference here? Oh. I'm so fired. All right, sorry guys, hold on, sorry. I keep forgetting what order to do this in. All right, so I'm gonna bypass all the effects here. Let's do this again, sorry. Okay, so I want to take this down by 4.5. Oops. Wait, let me see why that is. Route, pre-fader, post-effects. The drums, pre-fader, pre-effects. Okay, that's why I'm messing up. Let me check this one. Pre-fader, pre-effects. Okay, so this is a problem with my template. Okay, so here we go. This is I'm going to make a new project tab. I'm going to open up my template. HB default mixing template. Okay. And what I want to do is check the routing that all of these are actually, I'll do it from here. So here's the peak meter routing. So I'm looking at pre-fader, pre-effects all the way down. So Crash 1 is correct. Crash 2 is pre-fader post-effects. That shouldn't be. Pre-fader pre-effects. Hi-hat and ride are pre-fader pre-effects. Okay. So that should be correct. Copy these tracks. Track template. Save tracks as track template. It's going to be HB default mixing template. So I'm overwriting it. So now next time I load it, I'm not going to have that problem. All right. So let me go back to the peak meter on this project. This one's pre-fader, pre-effects. Okay. Now, let's get this right. Yeah, big fat oops on me. Okay, so this is the only one that's messed up. The other ones, well, you know what? We'll get them. I'm going to get the ride again. Let me find the ride. That's right enough. All right, so here's Crash 1. Okay, so I'm just going to go down by another 1 and a little bit. Okay. I'm going to turn all these compressors and stuff back on. And there we go. And now we're done with the peak meter. We'll move on to the RMS meter. Oh, wow. Why isn't there a bass on that? No. Wait. Why isn't there a bass on this? Because there is no bass player. Oh, wait. They do have stereo tracks. Hold on. I cut the keyboard tracks, but I shouldn't have. I think they have keyboard tracks. Hold on. Sorry about this. Again, make another project tab. I'm going to re-import the Living Dark, the raw files. I think the second band doesn't have a bass player because they were playing everything off of keyboard tracks. But it's mono. Let me see. All right, we'll deal with that. So everything's stuck on one track. And we'll make it work. It will make it work. Wait, let me just see if there's not 2 tracks. Did I do something weird? I was freaking out. There's no bass. Like, oops. So there's a lot of stuff on this other track. And unfortunately, because it's mono, I can't pan the other guitar the way I want it to. All right, well, we'll just make this work. It's going to be right after. Let's put it here. That's going to send to RMS meter, pre-fader, pre-effects. Okay, so there is no bass on this one. I'll get the other one first, though. Is that Small Things? So I'm looking for like minus 18 on this. Let me see. Oh, it's not Small Things. Kind of sounded like it. Okay. So that's bass. So the keys thing. This is gonna be rough. Oh, that's really cool. I need this guy in my band. I'm really trying to make all this stuff work with these like power metal things and keyboards and junk. This guy already knows how to do it. Okay, I'm gonna go up by 8. I might have to change it depending on the song, but they're pretty reasonably in the same ballpark. So I'm going to split these at this point because it's going to be different for these two different bands. I think that's my Tonex. Nice. And I think that's a Boss GT1 or whatever. GT50 something. Oh, Lenore has one of those things. I'll go back and actually I'll just do the guitar right now. Let's see where this is. Yeah, I'm gonna go up by 3 on this one. So the first band I think is called Sleep Therapy, and the second one is Living Dark. The Living Dark. Okay, so now we are at the vocals.
As I love, oh, 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 oh.
Go down by 8.
Up is the moving dark.
Oh, the Moving Dark. Oops. Let me get this down correctly. Moving Dark and Sleep Therapy Slack Key Lounge. Let's see if that shows up. Oh, it says the Moving Dark and My Sleep Therapy. All right. Yeah, these guys were really on it, man. I like working with these guys. Very cool.
You're all I want. You're all I need. So I could tell the truth. Where are you, girl?
We'll go down by 7. Is there a third vocal? It might not be. Oh yeah, so sing the drummer.
Where are you?
We'll do the we'll use the AI thing to fix that.
You are. Where you are. I'm trying to find you.
Okay, so I'm gonna go up by a dB on there. Once I figure out what song I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use the stem separator thing to get just his voice out of those drums, because that's gonna be hard. What is vocal 4? What? I don't know where this mic is. I don't see it. It might be on the floor. Uh-oh, I think I messed up. I got to check these separately. Sorry. Okay, so this one I did. This one I did. So this is on the first song. Oh, there's definitely vocals here on the 4th. No. Let me see what's on the second band. I think this is nothing.
There's the fight and stay home.
Okay, so that's his mic. I think.
Pop in a car and just get away. Drive all night and let the music play loud.
Okay, so I'm going to go down by 2 and a little bit. That might be the only vocal on this. Doesn't look like the drummer ever sings with that other mic. I think. There might be backing vocals on that keyboard track. All right, so don't have to worry about that. We're going to do the stem separate on here because, man, there's a lot of cymbals in there. But first, let's get the crowd. I'll put the high-pass filter on. I could have done that on the vocals, too. Probably wouldn't have hurt. All right. And I like when bands have a good reception. We had a good night with the Imposters and the band right from here, Nevermind, on, what is it, last Friday? Oh, God, it feels like a million years ago. So crazy how slow time goes when this stuff's going on. Let me see about this. I think I want to do the last song of each of these bands. I mean, their crowd was so happy to see them, and they're just cool. You know. Let me see how the end of this one is. Wow, why is that so much louder? Oh, because I... See, this is where I want to start from on a whole. I think this is how I want to do it. And I like when they get a good reception. It's not like they came to see our band and all right. Oh man, it's already getting late. So I've only been on here an hour. Man, my days are just getting started too late. My drummer's other band might be here tonight. If they are, I'll be mixing tonight. Let me just check if there's anything funny going on. Okay, I gotta send a email. Wow, I just got a thing. I might be doing a live show tonight. Yeah, I was going to the Jumps today, and I was going to Costco today. It's my Costco day. Let me check. Let me just see. Yeah, shoot, I might have to go. Shoot. Yeah, I'm supposed to be at the jumps today. I didn't go to the jumps last week, and I need to go to Costco. I'm running out of avocados and stuff. I got other stuff I can eat though. All right, let me just take a look at what we got here. So I'm gonna try not to make too many weird things that's gonna make it hard for me to fix the next band. But I think the drums are gonna be pretty much the same for each band. So let's take a look. And I think, like I said, I want to do the last song. Sounds pretty good just off the bat. I might be triggering these. Let me add the bass real quick. Let's pull everything else down. So that's a farty bass. Oh, gross. Ah. Yeah, what am I hearing? What am I hearing? What am I hearing? What? I have everything muted. Oh, it's the video. No way, is it? Oh, what an idiot. Sorry. I don't know why these guitars are so different than each other. Must have done something wrong on the guitars, or maybe he turned up at the end. Let me do this again. I check my RMS meter again. Oh, you know what? That high pass filter's on. Let me turn it off. Yeah, I'm going to take this down by 3. Okay, now let me check this one. should be a little bit closer together. Oh, maybe I don't want this song. Well, the crowd liked it. Yep. Yeah, that high pass is messing me up. Hey, Poo Ninja. It's just a farty bass. That's drummer singing. I think this one's gonna be full of drums. Oh, wait.
Let's go.
So he's just gonna be for that brief second. He's not singing at all. Who's on here? Who's singing here?
So I could tell the truth. Where are you, girl?
So this is gonna be the tricky one.
Find you. Where are you?
Yeah, that's gonna get the AI stem separator because that is definitely gonna need it. Okay, I think I have to split because this last minute. It's just like 3 hours from now. I got to go. Actually, I got to go feed the dogs and go to town. All right, shoot. That threw a big wrench in my day. Guess I'm not going to the jumps. Guess I'm not going to Costco. And just going to go to the skate park for a second. Do 100 manuals. Probably 25 knack-knacks. And then start heading over. All right. Sorry about that. I'll see you guys later. This is kind of a last minute thing, but see ya. I need keyboard preset help. Anybody?